allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Laws of 1975 of the State of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting of the South River Board of Education was provided in the following manner. On March 7, 2023, the notice was delivered to the office of the South River Borough Clerk and posted at the Board of Education Administrative Building. On March 7, 2023, the notice was faxed, mailed to the following newspapers. Home News Tribune, Sentinel. On March 7, 2023, the notice was posted in the South River Borough Clerk's office. Roll call.
Mr. Bazak. Here. Mr. Budson.
Here.
Mrs. Bush.
Here.
Ms. Byrne.
Here.
Mrs. Lau.
Here.
Mr. Nielsen.
Here.
Ms. Sadowski.
Here.
Ms. Young Yao.
Here.
Ms. Urbanik.
Ms. Urbanek's been excused.
Mr. Jaden Rodriguez. Here. Got quorum.
Okay, great.
Madam President, Vice President, can I ask you one question in regards to this? I went to the library the other day and asked where the copies for the Sentinel were. They say it's no longer in print. Is that true?
Yeah, it's true.
It's not.
It is not, it's not in print
Ryland,
anymore.
the same company, the News Transcript, is gone.
Yeah.
All those greater media,
They went under.
So do we have to just update the verbiage?
Check into that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that.
What do we say, printed and,
make sure independent sent
Send
the
them.
News Transcript. Gone.
Yeah, okay. I'd like Dr. Searchers, maybe they're online, we can look into that.
okay.
I'll look into it.
Yeah, we tried this up for the Wall of Fame, and that's when we found out they're not there anymore, but they haven't been able to find anybody to do, to tap into. There's nothing online. that we
Okay.
found.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to start with the minutes. Mr. Rosa?
And so we have nothing new from the pre-meeting.
Okay. So we need a motion to.
Nielsen moved the vote, reading of the minutes.
A second? Second. By Ms. Lau. Okay, and that's, all in favor?
Yeah.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. And then we'll go to the use of facilities.
So for the use of facilities, there's nothing new from our pre-meeting.
Okay, then if I could have a motion?
Nielsen moved the use of facilities in accordance with board policies.
Mr. Nielsen, and a second?
Second.
Mr. Bazak? All in favor?
Aye.
And then Ms. Lau, the financial report.
Thank you. Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby certifies that it is in receipt of the financial report, which indicates that no major account has been overexpended and that sufficient funds are available to meet the district's financial obligations for the remainder of the fiscal year. The Finance Committee recommends that the reports of the Board Secretary and the Treasurer of School Monies for January 2023 be approved, and I so move.
And then I need a second.
Nielsen.
Ms. Sadowski? All in favor vote on that? Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and that motion carries as well.
Yeah.
So then I'm going to turn it over now to Mrs. Zercher. Are we doing the audit report now, your report now? Let's do the audit first. Okay. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, good evening. I know most people here, but for the few people that don't, I'm Jerry Stankiewicz. I'm a partner in the auditing firm of Samuel Klein and Company. We are the independent auditors for the fiscal year ended June 30th of '22, which was a long time ago in the financial world, okay? I've been here several years reporting on how good the records were maintained under the rule of Ken Kokoska, and I'm happy to report, and this is no reflection on Johnny. He wasn't here at the year end, but I will say he was very helpful in helping us pick up some of the pieces when Kenny left. But the records were maintained for June 30th, 22 in very good shape, as they have always been in South River. So there's a good system in place here. There's a good trail of all the records, and it's Johnny's job to maintain and or improve where he sees fit. Okay, so basically what we did, we started the audit a little early because we had a retirement of another key person, Pat Midashevsky. We tried to get the payroll records out of the way, and she's always, be honest with you, quite cooperative. And we found her records to be in proper shape, so we got that piece of the audit done before she walked out of the building on August 29th or 30th, okay? That worked out very well. There was key pieces of the audit that we needed to have Ken for in the area of the special revenue fund, which is where all the grants are. So we got that all done before he departed. The other funds that we work on were easy, okay, because we just know them so well. And he had all the records lined up properly before he left. It's just that we didn't get a chance to audit them because we were focusing on the key areas. And then Johnny picked up from there and helped us bring everything to closure about a week and a half ago. Okay, now the audit was on delay because the State Department of I take that back, the State Division of Pension and Benefits, okay, was late in releasing health benefits information related to retirees under TPAF and or PERS, okay? They're getting later, and the same thing happened last year, and quite frankly, the same thing's probably gonna happen for June 30th of '23, okay? So, and it was really one piece of information that we needed to complete the audit, okay, which was done a week and a half ago or thereabouts. But here's what's said. They released the data late January. And then on Thursday, the Thursday of 2 weeks ago, they revised the numbers. So, and it didn't take that long to change, but it just, you know, it's happening. And the problem is I don't know if these firms that they hire, which are nationally recognized firms, they may not be properly staffed, but they're getting further and further behind in releasing the data, both the towns as well as school boards and fire districts and sewage authorities that we handle. So just to give a quick rundown, we have the board, we have an unmodified opinion on the audit, which means the financial statements as presented by management, okay, which would be Kenny and Johnny and Sylvia and the rest of the group over in the building here. They present us with the records. Our responsibility is to give an opinion on those records once we do the audit testing. Okay, so the audit testing, without getting too fancy about the audit tests, for example, okay, we look at your student activity funds, make sure they're all properly lined up, but we do presume that they're audited prior to us getting there because the amount, compared to the overall picture here, is so small. We just make sure that someone internally here is looking at the records from mostly the high school, which is where the big activity, relatively speaking, is, okay? Get that out of the way. We then do the food service work. We work in conjunction with the food service company who provides us with certain invoices that we want to look at and review some of their procedures to make sure they're reporting to, they're putting in for reimbursement for things that are appropriate, okay? And that their hours that they're reporting for their people are correct as well. We don't care what they're paying them, but if they're reporting that it's, 10 hours, then it's 10 hours. They could give them $9 an hour or $200, as long as the hours are correct, okay? We also do the meal count. We verify that the meals are properly counted on a daily basis and a weekly basis within each school, and then within each school to the overall district, and then the final monthly report that goes to the Department of Agriculture for reimbursement. Those all worked out nicely. The biggest piece of the audit is payroll. Now, payroll is always the biggest and doesn't have to be the hardest, but it does take the most time, okay? We have to make sure that everyone is getting, as authorized by the board, the proper base pay. Okay, and again, that's easy. Base pay is easy. You take their annual salary, divide it by 24 or 20, depending on what level they are. That's the easy part. The hard part is when you come to extra pay. Stipends, class coverage, sporting coaches, student activity people, all that stuff. We got to make sure that's proper. And in Pat's case, it was all good. It has always been good. And she was always kind of ready for us. So it was like, it's almost like you got to know the enemy. We're for 3 or 4 days, we're the enemy, and then at the end, we have a truce. But all of it works out properly. Payroll taxes were paid timely and properly. The other big area is a lot of the times there needs to be forms on file. I-9s, W-4s, direct deposit authorizations, that was all on file and available to us. We don't really get into what's on it as long as it's there. Because there could someday be a higher force that comes in, and if you don't have it, then you have a different problem. And the higher force could be the IRS or the state. Health benefits withholding, okay, that worked out very nicely as well. She seemed to have good control of that, okay. So the payroll worked out nice. The other area is expenditures, and it's very simple. Are they all properly documented? The answer to that was yes. Are they properly coded with respect to the budget account? And again, people think, what's the big deal? Well, there's always somebody either in Trenton or in Washington looking at your expenses to say, hey, maybe you're spending too much on legal, not that I'm picking on Christopher, but, or you're spending too much on engineer, or you're, you know, there's too much on text, or not enough on textbooks, which I think is true in most districts, okay? So that worked out properly. Your compliance with the public school contracts law is critical as well. And in this day and age, with all these cooperative purchasing agreements that are going on out there with the ESCNJ, with the, I know there's a group in Hunterdon, there's another group in Houston, Galveston, that they deal with trucks. It all works out very nicely, so it's almost impossible to violate the bid law. So compliance with that as well. And the other thing was the bills are cut off properly with respect to year end. Again, we've never, in those 4 areas in the last several years that I've been deeply involved with, never had a problem with that. Hopefully Johnny just has to keep the ball rolling and, you know, tweak things. Every time we get a new BA, yeah, they like to change a few things, and that's fine, but I think the system basically is in place. So that worked out nicely. So we ended up with no findings or problems in those areas, okay? And which leads us to our conclusion about the unmodified opinion, meaning clean opinion with respect to the financial records. One important thing that you need to know, and that is and you'll hear it, it's technical, okay, but you'll hear it, just know it, accept it, that you have a general ledger that you give us, and you have a treasurer of school monies who is highly qualified. When he reconciles, she's the treasurer, he reconciles the bank recs, the bank accounts, they tie to the penny to your financial records, okay, meaning your general ledger. Now, it's technical, but as a board member, you need to know certain things, know that as a minimum, okay? That always works, and I know he's an expert because I trained him, okay? So the treasurer school monies works out. I know he's like a perfectionist with that stuff. So all that worked out good. Also, the ASSA, pretty good. You know, we do a count, we verify the enrollment count, the enrollment claims. Okay, the number of kids, the number of IEPs, the DRTRS, the free and reduced, and the bilingual testing, all worked out very good. We also, again, this year, which caused a little bit of a delay too, was all this extra money that the federal government is floating around out there, added a little bit of time to what we have to do. We went and interviewed some of the people who were in charge, not anyone over there, but who were in charge of like Title I, IDEA. So we had a little conversation with them. Some people consider it a little overkill, but they need to know that someone else is looking. And we also want to make sure that they're set up in the event, because eventually they're going to come back out, the federal government and or the state. They're going to have 9 people sitting in that room looking at things for 12 days and checking all kinds of things. At least we're somewhat in compliance. They look for different things than we do. They're more into the compliance and the educational piece of it. We're more looking at just that we're sort of in you know, financial proper trail and things like that, which we have, and we have had here in a long time, so for a long time. So in the end, we have an unmodified opinion, and we have no recommendations that require the board to take action. One thing I wanted to point out that is this, and I think probably 7 of the 9 board members have heard this before. The thinner of the 2 documents is our representation to the board, which I think, I don't know if you distributed, I hope you did.
Yeah, I think.
They got it, right? They
Yeah,
got
and
it?
it's in the.
It's in the laptops, okay. And then the thicker of the 2 is, it's called the ACFR, the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. It's actually a joint venture. Our letterhead is not on it, but it's a joint venture between us and the business office, because technically speaking, in the purest sense, the board is supposed to present us with the audit, with the accounting records, and then we audit it from there. And the only thing inside this document that belongs to us is the 4-page independent auditor's opinion, which is going to indicate it was clean. There's all kinds of information in the notes. Every year they keep expanding what we have to put in there. You'll see some scary numbers in there about the board's allocated share of the TPAF pension and health benefits, which the board here is not on the hook for, the state is. You see information, it's just enormous numbers. We're not on the hook for it, but the reason why it's disclosed is so that public and/or the people in the investment rating agencies and in DC or Trenton can see what it really costs to run the district. Because what it really costs to run the district is not always go through the district. The TPAF pension, the TPAF medical, all that stuff, they have detailed calculations on your share, okay, but you don't necessarily write the check. We have to incorporate those into the audit. So all that stuff is indicated in here. The other thing is, I want to just indicate there, your main fund, which is the general fund, which is where all the bigger money gets run through, let's say, for lack of better words, federal, state aid, your main operating funds. You have fund balance. It's a little different than in prior years, but there's reasons for that. But the bulk of it is spoken for. I want to make sure that you understand that it's not free and clear. It is spoken for. For example, 1.1 million is reserved for capital reserve, which I think you could spend in about 8 minutes if you had to, right? Okay, then there's a maintenance reserve, which you could spend that in about 8 minutes. That's 500,000. Your unemployment reserve, 2 years ago they made us move the unemployment reserve into here. That's 270,000. It's all spoken for. Your 2% ceiling that you're allowed to keep is $1,368,000. Okay, and then you have other assigned monies. For example, $2.3 million was assigned to balance the budget for 22-23. Okay, and then because of the revenues and the expenditures, the combination of those two, the calculation revealed that your excess surplus for the 23-24 budget is 3.6 million, which is pretty high. Okay, and the problem with it is it's great to have that, but the problem is what do you do in the following year? Okay, so you just have to be careful with that. And I know we've had a discussion about that. I know how I would handle it, but I'm not in your seat, so the numbers are there. Most of them are spoken for. Usually it's spoken for by statute, and then like locally, I know you could spend, God, you could probably spend $30 million on capital if you had it, right? But you know, it's only so much that you can really earmark, you know, because you still got to do the day-to-day stuff. So in the end, again, clean opinion and no recommendations that require action. The only action that's required is that the board has to accept or acknowledge, excuse me, you don't have to accept it, but you have to acknowledge the fact that the audit took place. And then I think Johnny has to send a resolution over to Trenton. Okay, but I do want to mention that the support staff across the hall have always been very helpful to us and you know, cooperative, never really any problems. They understand what we're looking for. And then Johnny was very helpful. It's hard coming in after the fact and trying to do a budget at the same time. So we were thankful for Johnny. But hopefully a year from now, we're going to give the same good news to Mr. Johnny Rosen. Thank you. But the main thing is the support staff, because we always appreciate what they do.
Thanks, Jim.
If there's any questions, I'm here.
Ms. Lau, would you like to say, as Chair of Finance, is there anything you'd like to add? We've been working with him for.
No, we've been working with Jerry for years, so no, I appreciate, you know, everything that he did in organizing the documents and that we have the accessibility for them. And we have it tonight as 8.2 to accept the audit, and then Johnny will take care of the rest with the resolution.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep. And just so you know, we checked, everything was on file last Thursday evening in time for that. There's a lot still not issued, but I don't want to go that far. We're all okay. Everything's been filed.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Jerry.
Thanks,
Appreciate
sir.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody with any questions?
I just want to add that, like Jerry said, the audit was really cancer as I came, you know, after the year, but in my previous district, I also got 0 findings, 0 recommendations.
Okay.
I saw on the board of Ed.
Okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you so much.
Okay.
You can
Have a good evening.
head home.
Jim, be good.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, we're going to move on to the Superintendent of School, Dr. Zurcher. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mrs. Bush. 3 items today on my agenda, my monthly report, our progress towards the District 22-23 goals, and then a confirmed HIB for the board to approve. So I'll begin with my monthly report. And the first item on the report, which again will be posted on our district website on the superintendent's page, all of the superintendent reports are posted there on a monthly basis. So if somebody can't attend a meeting, they still have access to the information that we're highlighting about the district. But the first item on this report today is about the budget. The board is approving our preliminary budget today, which is preliminary because after your resolution, it has to go to the county for approval at the county level. And then once we receive county level approval, then we will do a hearing for the public on the 23-24 budget as well. I wanted to share some really great news on our Seal of Biliteracy program at the high school. We had the most amount of participants that we've ever had to take the Seal of Biliteracy exam. And we had the most amount of students who have ever passed it and will now have an endorsement on their transcripts as well as their high school diploma as a bilingual individual. So we had 2 students pass the Arabic exam, 22 students pass the Spanish, and 9 pass the Portuguese. So that is really great for our students. It provides them an opportunity to really pursue the next steps in their journey with that endorsement ahead of them. We have 3 unused snow days. As per the calendar, if that remains to be, our first unused snow day is going to be allocated to April 17th. Monday, April 17th is the Monday after our spring break week. The next unused snow day will be for May the 26th, which is before Memorial Day, and then the last one for Tuesday, May 30th, after Memorial Day. So it's looking good, and it looks like those are the 3 days that we will be allocating. In my superintendent's report, I remind the community that we have our curriculum fair coming up. It is scheduled for Tuesday, May 25th. We will have our art show presented over at the middle school cafeteria. We have performances in the high school auditorium. We have displays over here at the high school. And then new for this year is the Star Lab, the giant inflatable planetarium, which will be housed over at the middle school gymnasium. Our students are now in the process of signing up for lessons at the Star Lab. We have teachers in the district that have been trained on providing those lessons and working the equipment in the Star Lab. So all of our students will be taking a little field trip to the Star Lab, but then there's also an additional opportunity for parents to take the children, siblings, and so on to the Star Lab as well during the curriculum fair. So we're very excited about that. Summer programming, it's crazy to believe, but today's the first day of spring, and summer is going to be right around the corner. We have some great opportunities and choices for summer programs, both enrichment that is available to all students, K-8, and then we also have several programs for our high schoolers, and then we have an academic support program that is based on selection, meaning that we have multiple measures of data to help us identify students who could really benefit from additional academic support in the summer. And those students will be receiving an invitation for that program. So we definitely encourage our parents to keep looking at our district website. What we do is we add a tab to the front page of that website that says summer programs, and that's your go-to area to get all information for summer programming. The next item on my agenda today is our district goals and our progress, our mid-year progress towards those goals. Goal number 1 was about instruction and learning, and it really speaks to the response to the COVID pandemic and really just any learning delays or and really just struggles and challenges that our students have faced post-pandemic. And some of the activities, I won't read them all, but they will be also presented on our district website for any parent or community member to see. But some of the things we've done to this effort includes our Wilson training of our teaching staff. Several of our students are becoming Wilson certified, of our teachers, I'm sorry, are becoming Wilson certified. And we even have some teachers all the way at level 2. It is an extensive rigorous program specifically for children with significant reading disabilities. And we're very proud of our teaching staff who has really taken this endeavor to get the specialized reading certification. We have SAT and credit recovery programs. We have our bilingual and ESL, I reported on this a couple of months ago, our certification program. We have many teachers who are undergoing a program with TCNJ that's grant funded to actually receive their bilingual and ESL certificates. And we now have a new cohort of teachers participating, so another 12 teachers. We talked about tutor.com as well. Our students continue to use that program independently for additional help. That is open to students in 6-12 and also some select students in grades 4 and 5. Our second goal was based on physical, social, and emotional health. And the goal was to support students, families, and staff as they reacclimate and transition to a full-time in-person learning environment safely and successfully. And towards that end, I have some information about the additional staffing and programs that we have for mental health service and supports, our use of Care Solace, for example, to connect families to mental health services that are accessible. This is a great way for parents who may not have insurance or may not have financial means to access mental health for themselves and for their children. We have our yoga and meditation instruction for our self-contained special education classrooms, music therapy. We have our restorative community service program. I will be reporting more in depth on RCS next month, as we've just collected some really valuable data about how this program has impacted and reduced suspensions in grades 6 and 12. The results have been significant, and the district was asked to participate in a case study highlighting this program as we are one of the first to implement something of this type. And that's our restorative community service program, where students, in lieu of discipline, are providing service to the community in response to behaviors that may have been disruptive to the community. So instead of an in-school suspension or out-of-school suspension, we're having our students give back to the community, and we've been really successful with that. Goal number 3 is in human resources, increase recruitment efforts and sustain a working environment of highly trained and well-motivated staff. To this, we highlight our EAP, mental health and wellness services for our staff. We have productive meetings with SREA on a monthly basis. We have teachers on advisory councils and committees. The latest one, for example, was our traffic safety committee, where we had teacher representation as well as SREA leadership representation. We've expanded opportunities for stipends and income. So by promoting additional clubs and activities of that nature, not only do we support the needs of our students, but we're also providing additional opportunities for our staff as well. And then the last goal is related to safety and security, to continuously evaluate and monitor safety and security measures and procedures and allocate necessary funding and resources to enhance, improve, and respond to current conditions. The biggest item we can speak to on this goal is definitely the upgrade that we have just engaged in, that the board approved a really high expenditure for to upgrade our camera system. The new system is by far much more efficient than what we had before, and as well as our access system. So all of our schools have an access system that we use a locking mechanism for and an entry mechanism for, and we've upgraded that. We don't reveal a lot of security information. We don't get into a lot of details in this topic for obvious reasons, because we want to maintain our security measures secure. But you can definitely see that the board has invested quite a lot of resources into our security measures as well. And then the third item is the confirmed HIB for the board to approve. And with that, I conclude my report this evening. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody with any comments for Dr. Zurcher? Well, I have to thank you for everything that you've been doing for the district with our district goals and reporting out. And we do see growth, and I'd be interested in hearing next month's RCS report in that data. So, yeah, thank you. Okay, so we need a motion to accept the superintendent of school report.
Nielsen, move the superintendent's report is read.
Okay, and a second
Second.
by Ms. Byrne. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that carries as well. All right, so at this time, we're going to move to our first reception of visitors. The public may address any items on the agenda, items only. Please come to the podium and to state your name and address. And please limit your comments to 10-minute time limit at this time. Anybody? Okay. Seeing no participation then, I'm going to close the reception of visitors. Okay. I'm going to move on to the president of the board section. A couple things that we have to talk about today. Similar to the district goals, the board has goals. We do have 4 goals as well. 3 of our 4 goals we have, and just to reiterate real quick, our first board goal was to support the programs and support those students with learning delays as a result of COVID, emphasizing parent and family communication barriers, really trying to improve that. Similar to, again, the district goals, we kind of aligned everything. Our second goal was for the board to participate in an audit and review of our practices to ensure a safe, secure, equitable, and productive learning environment for all. Again, still aligned with the district goal. Our third goal that we're working toward is the board is working to enhance and to maximize board meeting accessibility and transparency. These 3 board goals that I just listed, we are progressing toward. We are continuing to work toward improving. We're tracking and monitoring the success of them. And so far so good with all 3. The 4th goal, we did have, we were looking for the referendum and hoping to promote and to have that pass. We were successful in the goal regardless of the outcome of the referendum. And we did achieve this, and this is the only one at this time that we've completed. Okay. Any comments on the goals? Okay. Then we're going to move to the consent resolution. I think we're doing some different things on this one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Okay, do I have a motion to,
I have to read it.
you have to, go ahead.